Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a completely fascinating corporate parable today. It's a story all about wealth, perception, and what it actually means to leave a legacy. Honestly, it's the kind of story that completely flips our understanding of power dynamics in the modern corporate world, and it's definitely going to force you to question everything you think you know about the people around you.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever stopped to wonder what happens when the person at the absolute bottom of the ladder actually owns the ladder? It's a staggering thought, isn't it? Let's travel to the neon-drenched metropolis of Athelgard to see exactly how this kind of dynamic plays out.
Section 1. The City of Illusions. Picture the sprawling, neon-drenched hierarchy of Ethelgard. In a place like this, reputation is absolutely everything. On one hand, you have the elite executives of the Sterling Financial District, just swathed in corporate prestige, tailored suits, driving luxury vehicles. But then, on the other hand, you have Arthur Vance. Arthur is a 60-year-old night shift custodian with silver-streaked hair. While those executives are speeding around in sports cars, Arthur is driving a rusted 1998 sedan. While they're dropping thousands at exclusive restaurants, Arthur is eating simple, hand-prepared meals in a super modest apartment on the outskirts of the city.
Because of this massive contrast, the young, arrogant executives hurrying past Arthur every single morning treated him like an absolute ghost. They didn't even bother to learn his name. They literally just called him the Broom and would toss half-eaten lunches toward his bin. But, and here's the ultimate twist, none of those executives had any clue that Arthur Vance, the man they barely even registered, was actually the majority shareholder of the very building he was scrubbing every night. No way, right?
Section 2. The Invisible Sovereign.
So how in the world does a humble janitor build a financial empire? Let's move to and see how this builds. 30 years ago, Arthur wasn't a custodian at all. He was an engineer. He actually designed the foundational cooling systems for the city's high-frequency trading servers. When his company went public in year 5, he took a massive, terrifying risk, investing his entire life savings into its growth. And over the next few decades, he just quietly reinvested every single dividend. You see, he didn't want the fancy CEO title or the endless stress of the boardroom. He wanted compounding interest and absolute privacy. By year 30, that incredible quiet patience made him the majority shareholder of the Sterling Group.
Now you might be thinking, this secret was born out of greed, but actually, scratch that. It came from a really profound psychological observation. Arthur realized that money makes people perform. When people know you're wealthy, their behavior instantly changes, right? They become sycophants or predators. By choosing total anonymity and playing the role of the poor janitor, Arthur basically gave himself a superpower, unfiltered truth. He got to see the genuine humanity of everyone around him. He saw exactly who was cheating, who was genuinely kind, and who was just struggling to put their kids through school.
Section 3. The Golden Boy Falls. This delicate balance of secret observation finally comes to a dramatic head one autumn evening when the building is almost completely empty. Enter Julian Thorne. Julian is the firm's golden boy, a 30-year-old rising star and a totally cutthroat negotiator. On this particular night, Julian is frantic over a clerical error that could destroy his career. In a fit of absolute rage, he kicks over a trash can and snaps, "Watch it, you old fool," right at Arthur. But Arthur doesn't even flinch. He simply stoops down, picks up the spilled files, and calmly asks Julian if he's having a heavy day or perhaps a heavy conscience. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the figure right there. As Arthur is picking up the scattered documents, he notices a proposal for a humanitarian infrastructure project. It's a project that would bring vital, life-saving water to 3 southern villages. But Julian had dismissed it as unprofitable charity work and just shredded the funding. Why? Simply because it didn't yield a 20% profit margin. Julian coldly looks at Arthur and tells him, "You don't get rich by caring about the peasants."
At this, Arthur sets his broom aside and delivers an absolutely devastating response. He says, "You chase the prestige, the watch on your wrist, the title on your door. But you are empty, Julian. You are rich in numbers, but bankrupt in legacy." Boom. I mean, it is just a powerful philosophical indictment of everything the city of Ethelgard stands for.
Julian is furious at this point. He sneers and gets ready to call security. And that, right there, is when the greatest reveal happens. Arthur doesn't pull out a flashy black credit card or a giant stack of cash. No, he pulls out a small, worn leather wallet. Inside is a faded photo of his late wife and a single handwritten note from his mentor, a legally binding document proving his absolute ownership of the Sterling Group. As Julian scans the signatures, you can just imagine his arrogance entirely vanishing into this cold, suffocating dread. The man he was just screaming at literally holds his entire professional existence in his hands. Julian just stutters out, "I didn't know," to which Arthur softly replies, "That is exactly the point."
Section 4. A different kind of payment.
So what do you do when you hold the career of the guy who just verbally abused you in the palm of your hand? Well, you exact a very different kind of payment. Arthur doesn't just fire Julian. Instead, he forces him into this brilliant, mandatory rehabilitation. Step 1. Julian has to miss all his fancy high society galas to personally oversee that exact same Southern infrastructure project he tried to kill. Step 2. He trades in his Italian leather loafers for dust-covered boots, physically working with his hands in the dirt alongside the very villagers he'd brushed off his statistics. And Step 3, the ultimate goal here, Julian slowly stops calculating the mere cost of things and finally starts measuring their actual human value. It's a total game changer.
And the wildest part? The secret stayed strictly between the two of them. Despite holding ultimate power, Arthur's day-to-day life remained completely unchanged. He kept working his night shifts, he still drove that rusted 1998 sedan, he ate the exact same simple meals, but he achieved something that traditional billionaires so rarely pull off. He used his immense wealth to genuinely transform a human life from the inside out, completely away from the spotlight.
Section 5. The Legacy of Freedom. Years later, it's finally time for Arthur to retire. So the crucial point is how he chooses to do it. He completely bypasses the traditional, ego-driven philanthropy of the ultra-rich. There's no giant foundation slapping his name on a glass wall in the middle of the city. Instead, he creates a massive scholarship fund specifically for the children of the janitors and staff at Sterling Financial. He gives his wealth right back to the people who had been his true, unseen colleagues for 3 decades.
As Arthur walks out of those revolving doors for the final time, Julian catches up to him. Julian is the CEO now, and he's a profoundly changed man. He even spends his weekends volunteering. He asks Arthur, with genuine curiosity, why he kept it all a secret for so long. Arthur just looks up at the glittering towers he owns but never actually needed to possess, smiles, and says, "When you are the secret rich man, you are never the one being fooled. You are the only one who is truly free."
It's an incredibly powerful thought to wrap up our explainer today. Arthur literally possessed everything, yet lived as if he had nothing, just walking off into a quiet, anonymous sunset. It really forces us to look inward and ask ourselves this final, provocative question. If you had everything in the world, who would you pretend to be? Think about that the next time you walk past someone you might usually just ignore. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I'll catch you next time.